Liza, and I'm here to talk about what's coming up for the month of April. Now, I've always charted it out in this diagram, and where you see the yellow, that's where it's about astrological transits. But before we get into the specifics, I just have to pause for a sec and talk about what's going on in the world as a whole. Now, I never go into politics. That's not what this is about. It's about energy and transformation. But right now, the world is going a little crazy and it's stressful for a lot of us. And so it's important to understand that depending on where you're at in the world and where you're at with your life, you're going to feel things differently. If you are ready for change, then these pushes, these transits, these things that are pushing us to go into different directions are not going to feel as stressful to you because it's something you already want. Case in point, I am moving this summer from the United States to Spain. Politics aren't the reason, mostly economic, but it's a huge shift, right? And I'm paying attention to the way everything is moving in this world. But it's important to understand that how I feel about it, how I'm impacted about it, is dependent on the sign that I am. It depends on where I'm living and where my mental state is. So I am open to change. I'm actively seeking change. So when these things affect me, I might feel them like a full moon. Okay, the full moon that we have coming up April 1st. That's a full moon, happens to be in my sign in Libra. So I'm going to feel that strongly, but it won't necessarily be harsh to me because I'm already looking for change. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. The other thing I want to say is that we are in a time of great shifts. You'll see globally people moving to different countries, like I happen to be doing. Some of it might be because of politics, some of it might just be because we feel like we belong somewhere else. That's the case for me. So as we're moving around, everything is changing in relationship to each other. So we're in a time of big, big shifts globally. As we can see by all the tensions between the countries and all the different things that are kind of popping up out of the blue that are like rattling our cages. Okay? So just bear that in mind that we are going through something on a global scale that may be impacting you, and it may not be directly related to you, but it's still something that you may need to experience. So just stay open as we go through these next, who knows, months, years of ginormous, ginormous shifts and change. Key dates that you should pay attention to for the month of April. And I will go into a little more depth of each one after I do the overview. So we have April 1st, which is a full moon in Libra. On that day, we're going to really be thinking about our relationship of ourselves to our partnerships and our family and how to satisfy our own needs with those of everyone else. Then we have April 9th, where Mars enters Aries, and it's going to boost our energy and drive and our ambition and really kind of push us ahead. Then we have April 12th. A lot's going on this day. We have Mars conjunct Neptune in Aries. That's going to be a heightened intuition. And you might feel a little confused as you start to have hidden aspects of yourself kind of coming into the forefront. And you're just kind of balancing, what is it that I really, really want? Because a lot of the things that are happening in terms of the shift these days is really about pulling out those deep desires, the ones that we've discarded as not being possible. It can be something as simple as, I'm never going to be that physical size again. I'm always going to be the weight that I am. I'm never going to have the partner that I want or the job that I desire or live where I want to live. All of those things are kind of coming to the surface and we're being challenged on that. Okay, now we've got the 14th of April. That is when Mercury goes into Aries and we're going to have direct communication. So more Aries here, all right? This is the month of Aries and this is really where we're going to be pushing ourselves to act, because that's what Aries is about. Okay, then on the 17th, we have a new moon in Aries yet again, which is really about that new beginnings and taking action on those things. Now we come to the 19th. That is when the sun is in Taurus, a lot of grounding energy. We're going to feel very disciplined. And there's something else happening on the 19th. Let me look real quick. Yeah, we have also the Mars conjunct with Aries on that day. So that's pretty big. And that transits into the next day, which is the 20th. Then we have Mercury conjunct with Mars in Aries, and that's going to require urgent, serious communication. So you may find on the 19th a real urge to tell somebody something. Moving on. On the 24th of April, we have Venus entering Gemini. So this is a good day for social communication. We'll feel curious. It's a good day for a little get together. And let's see, what day does that fall on? Oh, that's a Friday. So very good social weekend that day. Then on the 25th, we have Uranus entering Gemini, which is about a revolutionary long-term shift. So we're really being challenged to change the way we think about things. And that's why you're seeing this big global transition of people going in different places, because people are starting to realize, well, I align more with this, and then I want to be over there. I want to be around these people. I want to shift my energy towards the things that feel right to me. All right, the last day to pay attention to is the 29th of April. That is when Venus is square with the lunar nodes. It's not really important, all the detail, but it's about a relationship shift. So at the end of this month, we might see some things changing in terms of your personal relationships. Overall, there's a lot going on in terms of the energy. We're heading into spring. Things are kind of ramping up in terms of the climate, the earth. We're getting warmer, we're getting ready to act. So that's the energy that is really overarching for this month. All right, I'll go into detail, and if you want this information ahead of everyone else, please consider subscribing to my email newsletter. It's free, and you'll get all this stuff in your inbox before everyone else.
April 1st is a full moon in Libra, and I pulled the card of the Chariot, which represents the zodiac sign of Cancer. The combination is going to focus on your relationships, your personal desires versus those of your family and your loved ones. Air signs will feel this full moon the most, especially Libras. On April 9th, Mars enters the zodiac sign of Aries, and I pulled the Queen of Wands. Queens being water energy, flexibility, and wands being fire. Naturally, the queens kind of can't make up their mind, tend to quash their ideas for action. But with Mars pushing us, we're going to have to force those resistances to dissolve. So this is a real day of pushing ourselves to the limit, breaking down barriers. So remember when I said that there are going to be challenges and days where we're going to feel especially pushed to change, and today is one of them. April 12th, we have Mars, which is the planet of fire and action, conjunct with Neptune, which is that watery world of dreams and desires, in Aries, which is also pushing us to act. And the card that I pulled, the Princess of Discs, is about all the potential that you hold, and to recognize that and to move ahead with strength. Now on the 14th, Mercury enters Aries, and I have the Queen of Cups, which is going to be about expressing your feelings, opening that heart, and sharing what really matters to you. Now on April 16th, we have the Sun conjunct with Chiron, which is a dwarf planet not usually featured astrologically. It represents the wounded heart, and the Sun represents manifestation. So it's about bringing those wounds, that inner child that needs to be heard out into the forefront. And at the same time, I pulled the card of futility. So you're going to have some mental anguish over this experience, but it's a necessary part of the process of evolving and shifting and manifesting your future. Those wounds that were brought to the surface yesterday, now on the 17th, we have a new moon in Aries, which is going to really push us to let things go and start fresh. And we have the Prince of Wands, which is a very impatient, reckless, somewhat unstable energy. So be cautious today. Don't act yet. Use this opportunity to plan your future, but don't act. It may be a mistake. On April 19th, we shift from Aries into Taurus. We go from fire energy into earth grounded energy. And it may be a bit sobering today as we realize our situation, whether it's our financial situation, our home, our family. It's all of that energy. It's just going to be a bit of a down day. Just ride through it. So, another astrological transit that actually starts the day before on the 19th as well is Mars and Mercury conjunct Saturn, which is the taskmaster planet in Aries. And we have the Princess of Wands now, which is a confident, grounded, fiery energy. So we now have the confidence to move ahead, and we're being pushed by Saturn to really pull those difficult tasks out and finally deal with them. On April 25th, the planet Uranus enters Gemini. Now, Uranus is about individuality and freedom and can signify radical change. And Gemini is really about considering all the options. It's a very active mental sign. It's all about your different thoughts kind of jumping around like ping pong balls. And so today we're going to have this sort of feeling of we need to do something big, some big shifts, and yet the energy of the tarot is the Knight of Discs, which is about planning and plotting our next move. So take that energy, but rein it in to really focus on what those steps really should be. The last day to pay attention to is April 29th. And this is when Venus, the planet of ideal love and relationships, enters Gemini, which is a very social, fun sign about communication and is very talkative and social. So this is a fun day. That's really the only importance to note. It's a fun social day. So enjoy it. And that wraps up April. I'll talk to you again in May.